Thank you for joining us again here on the main news. I am Justin Matlatla. We are joined by Peaceway Zomunyiga at the Sign Language Desk.
And I'm Tariro Manamiki with Durang Ngube at our Montrose studios. Let's take a look at the major headlines tonight.
4 new ambassadors pledge strengthening of relations with Zimbabwe.
Witness drops bombshell on rampant corruption at the Harare City Council.
In business news, state-owned Kuimba Mining House eyes $150 million gold project.
And in sport, Herentals Queens exuding confidence ahead of CAF Women's Champions League. And now we give you the news in detail. 4 new ambassadors presented their credentials to President Emmerson Mnangagwa at State House in Harare this Wednesday, pledging to deepen cooperation between Zimbabwe and their respective countries. Our chief correspondent, Ruben Barwe, gives us more details.
Zimbabwe-United States of America relations have been frosty over the past 20 years, following the imposition of the illegal Western sanctions and other measures. This has seen the Second Republic underscoring the policy of a friend to all and an enemy to none. The presentation of the credentials by the new ambassador of the United States, Pamela Tremont, was yet another opportunity of the two countries engaging as partners in the Committee of Nations. The new ambassador, Tremont, then spoke to journalists after meeting the President, Comrade Emmerson Mnangagwa.
I was pleased to discuss with President Mnangagwa the current drought situation and then inform him that in the coming days we'll have another announcement about more food security support for the Zimbabwean people. I also thanked President Mnangagwa for the condolences he sent to President Biden after Saturday's shooting, which resulted in the injury of former President Trump and the death of a man who was protecting his family. I appreciated those condolences, and we agreed that political violence is abhorrent and doesn't belong in the U.S. or in any other country.
Second to present the credentials to the president was Austin Gormley from Dublin, Ireland, who is based in South Africa. He also presented his credentials to the president following his appointment as ambassador to Lesotho, Botswana, Mauritius, and South Africa. He spoke on the close relations between Zimbabwe and the Irish people.
There's always been a strong Irish imprint in Zimbabwe through the work of missionaries over many decades in the social sector, working tirelessly with the most vulnerable people in Zimbabwe. As the President has said, we also enjoy kinship and mutual understanding given our own historical context, our own histories, particular histories of both countries, including our solidarity in the liberation struggle.
Jamaica has a new ambassador to Zimbabwe. She has 18 countries under her portfolio and has since presented the credentials to 9 of them in East and Southern Africa. Ambassador Joan Thomas Edwards presented the credentials to the President, Comrade Emmerson Mnangagwa, who was flanked by the acting Foreign Affairs Minister, Professor Emon Murwira, and Ambassador Albert Chimbendi. She spoke on the relations between Harare and Kingston, Jamaica.
Historically, Jamaica and Zimbabwe have had very cordial relations. As you will recall, during the liberation struggle, Jamaica was one of the countries that stood with Zimbabwe. So much so that our reggae icon, Bob Marley, was represented here in 1980 at the independence celebrations. And we have continued to have cordial relations. Economically, in terms of trade, we have had minimal trade with Jamaica. We would hope, with Zimbabwe, we would hope that that could change. We both have to look. These are some of the things we need to look at, to strategize how we can get Jamaican goods here.
Lastly, to present his credentials to the president is the man from Bangkok, Thailand, Ambassador Mongkon Pramatumkau. Thailand is another Asian tiger as far as economic progress is concerned. Thailand in Southeast Asia has seen marked economic progress in the recent past.
The automobile industry in Thailand that returning from the gasoline engine into the electrical vehicles, and Zimbabwe has a lot of reserve of lithium that can be the major component for the electrical vehicle industry. So it's that one thing that we can cooperate with each other.
The 4 ambassadors, one from the Americas, one from Europe, one from the Caribbean, and the last one from Southeast Asia, all vowed to bring better understanding between their respective peoples and Zimbabwe, their economic cooperation and better global peace and harmony as they began their work. Ruben Barwe, ZBC News, State House, Harare.
And in a related report, envoys from 3 Asian countries met Vice President Kembo Mohadi in Harare this Wednesday, with discussions focusing on enhancing cooperation in various economic sectors.
First to interact with Vice President Mohadi was the Palestinian ambassador to Zimbabwe, His Excellency Tameh Al-Masri, who revealed the 2 nations are clear on their geopolitical position and support towards national development.
We spoke in details about our political views of what is happening nowadays in our area and also in the international floor. We support Zimbabwe 100% in its new leadership of SADC. Next month, Zimbabwe will host the SADC summit, and we are sure that Zimbabwe will present one of the best versions of the summits of SADC.
South Korean envoy His Excellency Park Jae-kyung spoke on how the June Korea-Africa summit has impacted on trade relations.
We discussed the Korea-Africa summit, the President, His Excellency Dr. A.D. Mnangagwa's visit to Korea just last month in agriculture sector, and in mining sector, and even in tourism sector. I reported to Vice President everything is well on track after the summit.
Japan's ambassador to Zimbabwe, His Excellency Shinichi Yamanaka, pledged his government's support in the wake of the El Nino-induced drought.
So I'd like to expand our cooperation here by utilizing my knowledge and experience. And I explained that concerning the current food shortage caused by the drought, Japanese government decided additional $1.4 million assistance for this food shortage near future.
The Second Republic adopted the friend to all, enemy to none thruster, which has seen the country engaging more Asian nations to cooperate in various sectors that include mining, agriculture, education, among others. Wellington Makonese, ZBC News, Harare.
The Dinson Iron and Steel plant in Manise is now in motion, producing pig iron, with production of steel billets anticipated to start next month. Tafara Chikumira was in Manise and he filed this report.
With Zimbabwe hosting the Southern African Development Community SADC Industrialization Week from the 28th of this month to the 2nd of next month, Dinson Iron and Steel Company is one of the Second Republic's flagship projects, which feeds into the objectives of the regional bloc. The billion-dollar steel-making giant, which is one of the biggest firms in Africa, has changed the shape of raw Manise into a huge industrial hub. The company, which now employs 1,700 people, is conducting test runs for pig iron production, a key ingredient in the production of steel.
We are producing about 6% of the total production at the moment. But in 2 weeks' time, we will ramp up to the actual full capacity of production of the pig iron. The pig iron is a byproduct or raw material which we are going to use in next month in the production of the steel billets. So steel billets are the major components which now we're going to export and then also produce other steel products.
On the SADC Industrialization Week, the steel-making giant is anticipating to form synergies and expand its wings across the regional bloc.
We are going to supply steel, the whole of SADC, So there are vast opportunities here.
The Dinson Iron and Steel Company is a subsidiary of the global steel-making giant Tsingshan Holdings Group. Once all the phases are complete, the company anticipates to produce a total of 5 million tons of steel per year. Tafaraj Kumira, ZBC News, Manize.
A witness in the ongoing Commission of Inquiry into the operations of the opposition-led Harare City Council has dropped a bombshell after exposing rampant corruption at Town House. The witness revealed that Harare City Council officials plundered Rufaro marketing resources and left it bankrupt. Peter Chivima has more.
The Commission of Inquiry into the governance of the Harare City Council has received shocking testimonies detailing the staggering extent of corruption, nepotism and abuse of power within Rufaro Marketing Private Limited properties. Giving a testimony before the Commission in Harare this Wednesday, Kendrick Enterprises Managing Director Ms. Rosemary Togarepi, whose company is renting Rufaro Marketing Private Limited properties, gave a damning report.
They were alleging or emphasizing that they believe Mr. Mutwadiro might try to keep collecting rentals from tenants since they were now familiar with him over the years. So now they're saying it is now supposed to be paid to them. If you don't pay to them, it means we haven't paid rent. So we have to come to the office, we have to contact them, ensure they're in the office, come to them and pay to them, as in that is Jumao Lete and Ngoni Shimbalo. I think in all the time that we paid, the only time that we actually walked in with cash into the office it's only once. But most of the time, they would actually come to the premise. They would call you, we are coming to collect. They move around doing rental collections.
The witness also alleged that the Harare City Council used to hire thugs to terrorize citizens who refused to pay bribes.
So when these people would come and try to talk to our tenants, our security would stop them until the situation started to escalate, started getting violent. This was in June now. Started getting violent. They'll be running battles between our security and these bouncers, and our tenants would be physically harmed, would have sometimes, in some instances, even clients that are moving around the complex. So the police would come, react. You'd get either the district, the DRG reacting to the noise, or you get even the PRG in some instances coming to react. They just do summary arrests.
The Commission of Inquiry also heard that Rufaro Marketing Private Limited tenants are living in terror owing to harassment and intimidation by Harare City Council officials who are abusing their power to extort and exploit them. This is not the first time the witnesses in the Commission of Inquiry have exposed the rot within the opposition-led Harare City Council. Peter Chivima, ZBC News, Harare.
Zimbabwe's industrialization drive has been applauded by sister republics and recognized as vital in the region's economic growth.
With a few weeks to go before Zimbabwe hosts the SADC region, preparations for the Indaba are in their final stages, with government saying all targets will be met before the 44th SADC Heads of State and Government. Malawi's representative in Zimbabwe has applauded the industrialization drive being undertaken by the Second Republic.
For us as a region to grow, first is what the Second Republic is pursuing, infrastructure development. Infrastructure development will lead to industrialization. Because you can have an industry here, and if you don't have means and ways of transporting those goods that you have produced there, it's as good as producing nothing. So I see the strategy that the Second Republic has taken as something that is of essence. Yes, because a child will not start walking without crawling. So the government has taken a step that it is following the true path of development.
DRC's Chargé d'Affaires, Mr. Michel Kamamupele, weighed in saying Zimbabwe, as a founder member of SADC, continues to contribute significantly to regional growth.
Zimbabwe
is a founding member of the SADC and plays an active role in a very important role in the stability of the region, and a major player in the road infrastructure and its border, so its presence is very, very important. The level of preparation is advanced. The renovation of the infrastructure are made at high speed to save the guests who will come.
Zimbabwe will take over chairmanship from Angola with issues of enhanced regional integration, peace and security, among other issues set to be discussed during the summit. Olina Ndori, ZBC News, Harare.
The flourishing historic bond between Zimbabwe and Mozambique was topical when a Mozambican delegation met Defense Minister Honorable Opamu Chinguri-Kashiri in Harare this Wednesday.
The upcoming 44th SADC Summit has cast the spotlight on Zimbabwe's robust and enduring relationships with its regional counterparts, underscoring the country's commitment to regional cooperation and solidarity. A Mozambique delegation led by the Minister of Culture and Tourism, Honorable Eudovina Materula, paid a courteous call on Zimbabwe's Minister of Defense, Honorable Opamu Chinguri-Kashiri, in Harare this Wednesday, where a memorandum of understanding was signed, solidifying the two countries' commitment in the preservation of Africa's history.
What we came to see and to say, it was first of all that Mozambique still very much committed to the whole implementation of the Liberation Museum. Once this is not only a museum for Mozambique or Zimbabwe, it's not only a museum about these two countries, but it's a museum for the world.
Minister Chinguri-Kashiri expressed gratitude to the government of Mozambique for its unwavering support and solidarity, describing the relationship as unshakable.
We are touched as Zimbabwean community. The president muted this idea of the African Liberation Museum to bring all the Africans together as pan-Africanists, people who championed the liberation of Africa. And we felt that we are independent because of the supreme sacrifice which Africa made and beyond.
Zimbabwe and Mozambique are bound together by an historic and unbreakable bond forged during the liberation struggle, which saw several freedom fighters being trained in the neighboring country. Peter Chivima, ZBC News, Harare.
Zimbabwe is further strengthening relations with Nicaragua after the country was invited to attend the 45th anniversary of the Sandinista revolution set for Friday.
Named after Augusto Cesar Santino, a Nicaraguan revolutionary who fought against U.S. occupation in the 1920s and 1930s, the Sandinista revolution is a significant occurrence in Nicaraguan history that began in the 1960s and culminated in the 1979 victory. It was a popular uprising led by the Sandinista National Liberation Front, a leftist political organization against the authoritarian government of Anastasio Somoza Debayle. Zimbabwe's top envoy to Nicaragua, Ambassador Paul Chikawa, disclosed that Vice President General retired Dr. Constantino Chiwenga, who will represent President Emmerson Mnangagwa at the anniversary set for this Friday.
The first lesson, which I think is mutual between us, is the value to fight for your rights and the value to love your country, to be loyal, and the value of resilience. Nicaragua is under sanctions, and yet you do not see a broken spirit. You see a people that is willing to fight for their rights. You see a people that is willing to have their place under the sun.
Looking ahead, Ambassador Chikawa anticipates the visit will foster economic ties between Zimbabwe and Nicaragua.
We are going to be chair of SADC, and we have an agenda which really talks of Zimbabwe is open to business. And so we expect that the engagement that the Vice President, our own Vice President, when he comes, will actually focus mostly on
promoting business.
Earlier this month, Nicaragua opened its embassy in Harare, which saw Zimbabwe becoming one of only 6 African nations with a resident Nicaraguan embassy. Zimbabwe became one of the first 3 African countries to establish diplomatic relations with Nicaragua at independence in 1980. Abigail Tembo, ZBC News, Managua.
A funeral parade for the late Brigadier General retired Michael Chaminuka, who died last Saturday, was held this afternoon at Charles Gumbo Barracks in Harare.
Relatives and colleagues of the late Brigadier General retired Michael Chaminuka, who died last Saturday after a short illness, gathered at the Charles Gumbo Barracks in Harare this Wednesday for his funeral parade. Chief Mourner Commander Zimbabwe National Army Lieutenant General Anselm Sanyatwe chronicled the journey travelled from the days of the liberation struggle, describing his death as a great loss to the Zimbabwe Defence Forces family and the nation at large.
As we pay our last respect to the late General, we must not forget the sacrifices that he and other heroes and heroines paid for us to get this country free. It remains a great challenge to us all to defend the values that they stood and fought for. We must therefore defend Zimbabwe's independence and sovereignty at all costs.
The family of the late said he was a peaceful man who was committed to his family.
My dad was a very calm, humble, and peacemaker in the family. There has been a great loss. It's a huge gap that no one will be able to feel ever.
Brigadier General retired Chaminuka joined the liberation struggle at the age of 17 after crossing into Mozambique in 1977. He then received military training at Tembwe Base in 1978 before undertaking a medical training course at Chimoyo. The late was attested to the Zimbabwe National Army in 1981 and he rose through the ranks from private to Brigadier General. Brigadier General retired Chaminuka also attended various military courses and received several medals for his continued dedication, selfless and exemplary service to the nation. He is survived by wife Lillian Chaminuka and 5 children. Burial arrangements will be announced in due course. John Nandara, ZBC News, Harare.
The government has assured the citizenry of national food security. This is through continued investments in the climate-proof Pfumvudza Intwasa program.
Boosting climate-resilient agriculture in the country was the major highlight when Lands, Agriculture, Fisheries, Water and Rural Development Minister Dr. Anxious Masuka and the British High Commissioner to Zimbabwe, His Excellency Peter Vowles, attended the Pfumvudza 4 training launch in Goromonzi district this Wednesday. Government is partnering with Foundations for Farming in the program, which will see agri-techs officers and supervisors going through a training program for the next phase of the Pfumvudza Intwasa program.
As we climate-proof agriculture, we need to ensure that there is household food security. The partnership of Foundations for Farming has allowed this training for Pfumvudza, and we're now doing Pfumvudza 4, which means adding a 4th plot to try and address the problem of mulch availability in rural areas, especially coming out of a drought season. Our expectation, therefore, as government, is that every household this year is going to do the minimum 3 plots of Pfumvudza for them to be able to assure themselves of food security.
The UK is proud to be able to support Foundations for Farming and the training of the agri-techs workers. There's a great honour to meet some of them today and learning about their training, what they've been doing, and how this model will then roll out to training farmers across the country.
The training program is funded by UK International Development in partnership with the government of Zimbabwe.
We are really honoured to be able to host the Minister and the British High Commissioner. British High Commissioner, although has given funding, the Ministry and the Minister and the government of Zimbabwe has been vital in making this happen. The agri-techs officers to be trained are really going to affect the nation.
We are targeting 1,500 agriculture extension officers and 180 agriculture extension supervisors. So to date, 784 agri-tax officers have been trained here, plus 180 extension supervisors.
As the country journeys towards Vision 2030, government is on a drive to climate-proof agriculture to mitigate the effects of climate change and ensure food security. Farai Gwaze, ZBC News, Harare.
Government has granted permission for schools to conduct vacation lessons for examination classes. In a statement, the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Primary and Secondary Education, Mr. Moses Mike, confirmed the development, saying the lessons will be conducted for 10 days between the 19th and 30th of August. Primary schools will charge $2 United States per subject for each student, while ordinary level students will pay $4 United States for every subject, with advanced level students set to pay $5 United States per subject. Boarders will pay an extra $4 United States per day for their upkeep during their 10-day stay at school. Mr. Mike also noted that students attending the vacation school should be in their school uniforms, while teaching staff should be dressed appropriately. Well, remember to check our website for more news. That's at www.zbcnews.co.zw. Also check our social media platforms on Facebook, X, YouTube, as well as WhatsApp and TikTok and Instagram. The handle is at ZBC News Online.
And now for stories still to come in this bulletin. State-owned Kuvimba mining house eyes $150 million gold project. And in sport, Herentals Greens exuding confidence ahead of the CAF Women's Champions League. On that note, we take a break. Stay with us.
This is the currency we've been waiting for. A currency that's not just paper and coins, but a symbol of Zimbabwe's rich resources and stability. That's Zimbabwe Gold. This is ZIG. Let's dive into what makes ZIG not just a new currency, but a new beginning for Zimbabwe's economy. ZIG is born out of a blend of traditional and innovative financial wisdom, anchored in gold and precious metals, along with foreign currency reserves. This backing isn't just for show, it's a promise of stability and trust, ensuring that ZIG's value is as solid as the gold it's pegged to. From the bustling markets of Harare to the serene landscapes of rural Zimbabwe, ZIG is set to become the medium of exchange that's both reliable and accessible, with denominations ranging from ZIG 200 to ZIG 1 and even handy coins. It caters to every transaction, big or small. Transitioning to ZIG is a breeze. It's all about inclusivity, ensuring no one is left behind in Zimbabwe's financial renaissance. ZIG doesn't walk alone. It co-circulates with other foreign currencies under Zimbabwe's multi-currency system, enriching our financial landscape. It's a legal tender that not only simplifies transactions, but also restores confidence in our economy, promising a future where stability and growth go hand in hand. So why ZIG? Because it's more than just money. It's a symbol of Zimbabwe's resilience, a step towards an economy where stability is the norm, and every Zimbabwean can look forward to a prosperous future. Welcome to the era of Zimbabwe Gold, where our currency is our pride.
Days since the last day of last season, we are ready to do it all again.
Phil Foden is having the season of his life. Brilliant! Just brilliant! That is quite something!
Upgrade to Compact for $29 per month to get all the Premier League football action.
Today's life is action-packed, hectic, and full of opportunity. You're off to the next big meeting.
returning home from an important business trip, or you step out of your bubble to find your next adventure. Whatever your journey, we have a solution. A car for every occasion, be it leisure or business. At Impala Car Rental, for over 15 years, we've been catering for all Zimbabweans from all walks of life, using technology to make travel smarter and more affordable. Where will your road take you? Hit the road, whenever, wherever. Impala Car Rental, celebrating 15 years of service excellence.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Now, in a very tragic story, the Kwadzana Extension community in Harare has been left in shock after a woman from the high-density suburb allegedly killed her 2 children and attempted to kill the other 2 before trying to commit suicide.
In a sad development that has sent shockwaves across Kwadzana Extension suburb in Harare, a woman and her 2 children are battling for their lives in hospital, while the other 2 died under mysterious circumstances. The woman in question, Clara Muronja, and her 4 children were reportedly found lying unconscious in a smoke-filled room with a pot of burnt rice on the gas stove on Sunday. Muronda is alleged to have laced the food she prepared with poison and went on to share the food with her children to spite her husband after a domestic dispute involving a girlfriend.
afunga kuti ndongofa nevana vangu zvangu ndonzanzi amai vakapa vana poison mushure menguva ichinetsana nemurume anga ari kugwera saka vadaro vakapa vana poison naivo vhavha vanonwa pamusoro ndakaona vachitutuma furumukanwa muromo mai vacho asi vana vacho umwe wacho zvekuti angatova wiki musikana kasikana kadiki ndikausimudza tikaisa mota ikasimuka ndikasara ndina kuendako angozonzwa kunzi vanhu vangu vachipupa furo vangu vatotakurwa iswa mota asi handina hangu kuti ndipinde mumba mawari unonzi poison yanga iri muchikafu but handizi kuti angabika mupunga wacho ndiani.
The Zimbabwe Republic Police confirmed the incident.
We are conducting comprehensive investigations with a view of finding out what actually transpired. And it's said that we have lost 2 minors, one aged 10 years old, the other aged 8 years old. And whilst the other 2 are also in a hospital and the mother. We have always encouraged members of the public, even couples, that when people have got differences at family level, at village level, or at whatever level, they must find peaceful ways, peaceful methods of resolving differences.
Mental health experts encourage the public to seek help when faced with challenges.
When we talk mental health in our African culture, you know, we are usually quick to think of that person who's walking in the streets, who's carrying a bag and talking to themselves. Mental health is the problem that one is facing right now. If you don't deal with that problem, then the results that will come will be, we will hear so-and-so has fallen into depression. We will hear so-and-so is now sometimes into drug and substance abuse.
We need to learn as families, as communities, to acknowledge psychosocial challenges, to acknowledge mental health challenges, and to seek support. If one feels they are not coping, if one feels they are giving up on life.
According to the World Health Organization, more than 700,000 people die through suicide every year, and for each case, there are an estimated 20 suicide attempts. Festus Mgongorotse, SADC News, Harare.
Oh, surely there are other better ways of resolving marital disputes, and killing oneself or others is surely not it. We now cross over to our Montreal studios, where we are joined by Dora Ngubets. Over to you, Dora.
Yeah, very sad. Just in a very tragic case there on mental health issues. It's important to seek help when you're going through any mental issues, any emotional issues that can damage your emotional health. But above everything, no one is worth your life, guys. If you're going through anything out there, no one is worth your life or taking your life or anyone's life for that matter. But we continue on that note from our Montrose News Desk. Parliament has highlighted the need to modernize the national railways of Zimbabwe's equipment, saying it is key in the revitalization of the parastatal.
The familiarization tour of the National Railways of Zimbabwe (NRZ) by the Parliamentary Portfolio Committee on Transport and Infrastructure Development brought to light challenges faced by the state-owned entity. This comes at a time when the focus is on revitalization efforts, with chairperson of the committee, Honorable Knowledge Kaitano, emphasizing the need for modernization of the entity's equipment.
As we have been discussing and touring this workshop, we have realized that the infrastructure that is required is there for NRZ. But what is missing is the modernization of some technology that is here.
As part of its recapitalization process, NRZ has formed a number of public-private partnerships that have seen the entity refurbishing its wagons and boosting efficiency.
In terms of the strategies that we are implementing to recapitalize NRZ, we are looking for financiers, and we have negotiations that are at an advanced stage with one of Exim banks, which will see the disbursement of a loan of almost 100 million that will be used to procure locomotives and wagons and also attend to certain infrastructural requirements.
Over $100 million United States dollars is required to recapitalize NRZ, which used to employ 15,000 people compared to the current 30,000 employees. Lisa Masuku, ZBC News, Bulawayo.
Smallholder livestock farmers in dry regions have been implored to embrace lucerne production to minimize livestock deaths resulting from the El Nino-induced drought.
Smallholder livestock farmers in the Lowveld are facing challenges related to inadequate pastures, which in the long run may result in increased livestock deaths. These are the realities of the El Nino-induced drought, which have seen one of the commercial farmers in the area opting for lucerne as a forage substitute for livestock.
When I initially tried it out, I dedicated about 4 hectares to purely do lucerne with very high agronomic standards, wanting to see what to do. Then eventually I said to myself, let's see what lucerne would do if we just leave it on its own in this natural region 5, deliberately give it harsh treatment to see whether it would survive. When we established it here, we said since it has got such a huge taproot and it has got capacity to produce shoots, what if we take the shoots and try and establish them as cuttings? And sure enough, it prospered. And all the Katambora lucerne you see here was established vegetatively using cuttings. And the beauty about it is that when you combine it with the natural grass or the Katambora, your nutritional value for the pastures increases.
Chiredzi Agritech's officer, Mr. Tongai Bodi, noted the benefits of lucerne pastures as an alternative source of forage for livestock farming.
The establishment of lucerne can be done and can be harvested up to 7 years where irrigation is available. After emergence, lucerne can be harvested in the first 42 to 50 days, producing around 1.5 tons to a maximum of 10 tons per hectare.
Government is set to embark on commercial lucerne production in Chiredzi district as part of initiatives to grow the national herd and the dairy sector. Lucerne is valued for its drought tolerance, protein content, and digestible fiber, which makes good forage for livestock. Geima Tambo, ZBC News, Chiredzi.
Government and its development partners are on a massive drive to develop school infrastructure in Bulawayo to improve the learning environment and quality of education.
The concept of hot sitting is now a thing of the past at Masuku Primary School in Bulawayo's Chabalala suburb after 3 new ECD blocks were constructed under the ongoing infrastructure development drive. With government development partners coming on board, residents are looking forward to the future with hope.
Lapha khona sijabula kakhulu ukuthi abantwana basizakala ngokuthi khathesi kusela house sitting, so khathesi sesikwazi ukuthi i-CD block le kuzamuva bona laba besebenzisa ngapha ama-block lawo, and then sokuzabe grade 1 kusiya phambili.
Government is on a drive to enhance education infrastructure in line with the inclusive development agenda.
It's very important for our children. It's very, very important that we do something. And as our president's vision to 2030, the education is very important.
We had to add some classroom blocks. At the end, the whole aim of the province is to see a conducive environment for our learners.
Indian ambassador to Zimbabwe applauded government's commitment to early childhood development.
The new classroom block we are commissioning today is more than just physical infrastructure. It represents a beacon of hope, a symbol of what can be achieved when we work together towards a common goal.
The new classroom blocks dovetail with the National Development Strategy 1, which aims at improving education infrastructure and standards as part of efforts to attain an upper middle income society by 2030. Grace Sibanda, ZBC News, Bulawayo.
And that report takes us back to our team at Pocketville. Justin and Tadiro, it's back to you.
Thank you, Dora. The Second Republic's borehole sinking program, which will benefit every ward in the country, is progressing well. The program is one of the measures put in place by government to mitigate the effects of the El Niño-induced drought.
This Wednesday's National Assembly question and answer session saw parliamentarians quizzing government on measures being taken to mitigate the effects of drought.
Vanotarisa pazvivhiti-vhiti vanenge vakaona mutevedzeri womukuru wenyika General retired KCD Mohadi musi wechina chapera vari kunzvimbo inonge yakada kufanana neiyi muregion 5 kugara nyemba kugwanda uko kumateveni south vachiparura chirongwa chinonzi pachirungu World Drought Mitigation Center. Chirongwa ichochi chinoti tinotarisa pawadi yoga yoga tobva tachera chibhorani taisa makare taiti village business unit taisa matangi e5000 liters mana asi zvino toisa maviri tobva tati kare taisa garden ine chinzvimbo chinoita 1 hectare ezvino toisa chinzvimbo chidimbu toisa panomwira mvura mombe toisa padzinokwanisa kuzopuwa chikafu chokuwedzera kuti dzisafa toisawo panokwanisa kuwanikwa mvura nevanhu vemaraini akatenderedza nepokuwachira hembe saka izvozvo ndo zvatakumhanya nazvo.
Concern was also raised on the availability of sanitary wear for girls in schools.
The government of Zimbabwe deliberately allocates funding for sanitary wear, Honorable Speaker. We have a department which deals with the welfare issues of students, especially the girl child. The challenge which we used to have was the issue of procurement, which was centralized. We have since decentralized the procurement of sanitary wear, as well as decentralization in terms of procurement of foodstuff for the school feeding program.
The issue of ZIG, smaller denominations, was also raised.
Indeed, we have agreed that we've got a challenge of change, which must be addressed. And in terms of the money supply, like he has indicated, the M1, we are saying, like he has indicated, yes, we are close to 400, precisely around 387 million in our reserves pertaining to the ZIG, but to cover the ZIG. But we are saying, in terms of printing money, the governor will not go beyond that. So I don't think that will then affect the issue of change. But you are right to say what we now need are smaller denominations so that we promote transactionary processes to flow.
Other issues that came under the spotlight include urban local authorities' capacity to provide potable water to residents. Fungai Jachi, ZBC News, Mount Hampton.
A number of infrastructural development projects are being implemented in Mashonaland East Province under the National Devolution Program. The latest such project is a school which was recently built in the Mudzi district.
Located 10 kilometers from the Mozambican border in Mudzi, Nyagugu is in the remote parts of the country. The area has been lagging behind in infrastructural development, with learners using a grass-thatched structure as a secondary school. That is now a thing of the past, as the Second Republic's drive of leaving no one and no place behind has seen transformation of the community after the construction of a new secondary school which has modern structures.
Takawakirwa chikoro nehurumende yedu asi tiri kufara zvimwe zvakanyanya nokuti dambudziko ranga riri munzvimbo munomu ranga risiri kana kutsanangurika.
Mukatarisa ma-structures atinoona kuseri kwedu uku ndo makatanga muchidzidzira vana from as far back as 2014 until around 2021 patakapedzisa kuvaka one classroom block ndobva tazoenderera mberi tichivaka the second classroom block.
Mashonaland East Minister of State for Provincial Affairs and Devolution, Senator Mjerengwi, who commissioned the school, said the development is a clear indication of government's commitment to improving people's lives.
Kubudikidza devolution navabereki kushanda pamwe chete nehurumende yavo zvinodudzira kuti nyika inovakwa nevene vayo. Saka tiri kunzwa kufara kuti vana vedu vakuwanawo pekudzidzira pakanaka.
Senator Mjerengwi also commissioned a classroom block at Mavurazi Secondary School and another block at Goronga Secondary School, all constructed using devolution and council funds. Gerald Sasa, ZBC News, Mudzi.
A detour bridge along one of the diversion roads connecting Simon Mazorodze Road and other feeder roads in Harare risks collapsing as it is now in bad shape. The details.
Proving one of the crossing points along Mokovisi River in Glenorchy suburb, the tiny bridge which connects vehicular traffic from western suburbs to Simon Mazorodze Road is showing signs of wear, with visible cracks on its surface, creating a depression. After the closure of Highglen Road due to construction works at the Mbuzi traffic interchange, motorists are using the pathway as an alternative route. The bridge in question is, however, overwhelmed by high volumes of traffic.
Imagine gonyeti rine 30 tani chipfuura kombi chaiyo inotakura 18 kutaze rikutosheka tatuwa panjodzi noti anytime bridge rinogona kungodona.
Bridge rasingashandiswi zvakanyanya nyaya kuti rodhi yakavharwa saka mota dzese dzinoenda panapa nemabhazi nemarori zvese zvinoenda panapa matipa plus pamuri kuona apa pasina kurereka kudai pari straight saka mai manje rinokolapsa bridge rori matipa ndovakutikuwadza kuno kakalota.
The Mbuzi traffic interchange is one of the several flagship projects being implemented under the Second Republic as it delivers its modern infrastructure development agenda. Festus Mkunguru says, ZBC News, Harare.
Now in news from beyond our borders, the African National Congress has called former South African President Jacob Zuma for a disciplinary hearing after he joined the MK party.
Reports from South Africa say Mr. Zuma is expected to face an ANC disciplinary hearing after campaigning against the party he once led in the national elections held last May. Mr. Zuma is the current leader of the MK party, and the hearing could result in his ANC membership being cancelled. The former South African president joined the ANC in the late 1950s when it was a liberation movement fighting against the apartheid system of white minority rule. Meanwhile, the MK party has refused to join the South African coalition and will become the official opposition as the third biggest party in the parliament after garnering 14% of total votes in the May elections.
Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has reiterated the need for a comprehensive reform of the United Nations UN Security Council, criticizing what he termed overrepresentation of Western nations. Addressing a UN Security Council session in New York this Wednesday, Mr. Lavrov cast the spotlight on reforming the Security Council, particularly its composition, saying it is crucial for the institution's effectiveness. Turning to geopolitical tensions, Mr. Lavrov highlighted that any progress for ending the conflict in Ukraine must include tangible steps to address perceived threats to Russia from the Western Euro-Atlantic region. Meanwhile, China's permanent representative to the United Nations, Fu Kong, bemoaned how some individual countries have overstretched the concept of national security by indiscriminately imposing unilateral sanctions to disrupt global production and supply chains.
We take a break for business. Stay with us.
The Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe announces a new initiative to ensure sufficient local currency in circulation. Starting June 10, swipe for Zig Cash at any HomeLink branch using your debit or credit card. Available in your Zig denominations 1, 2, 5, and 10 Zig. You can exchange your foreign currency for Zig Cash at the prevailing interbank exchange rate. The Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe is ensuring that adequate Zig Cash is available for all, be it in public transportation, retailers, informal traders, and other key stakeholders. For more information, visit your nearest HomeLink branch. Thank you.
Gastronomy, yeah, to be traditionally tourism regional for our own gastronomy. First of its kind gastronomy. Gamavidungo gastronomy. Kebutanga Zimbabwe gastronomy. Covid Falls gastronomy. Abatizo tikuhosta, inditenge digital star. Kutofamba digital azidombo costa.
iZimbabwe le-UN Tourism baqoqe umhlangano wokuqala owe-UN Regional Forum on Gastronomy Tourism for Africa kusukela mhla ka-26 kusiyafika mhla ka-28 Ntulikazi 2024 eVictoria Falls lapha eZimbabwe. Lumbutho uyisithelo sikamama wethu welizwe leZimbabwe uDr Auxilium Mnangagwa. Lokhu kuyikusebenza gadalala ekuphakamiseni ukudla kwelaseZimbabwe. Siyakwamukela Africa, siyakwamukela United Nations Tourism. iZimbabwe igcwele injabulo.
Zimbabwe, where the sun kisses the earth, lies a world of endless opportunity.
Here, amidst the vibrant colors and lively exchanges, the spirit of abundance live. Allow yourself the opportunity to connect and innovate. See the future of your business at the 114th edition of the Zimbabwe Agricultural Show.
Filled with ideas, new and radical, that are cultivating prosperity, growing business, innovating for change, and nurturing our future. From agriculture to agribusiness, and from agricultural education to agritourism, every sector finds a place to flourish here, where companies unveil their latest innovations and network with current and potential markets. SAS 2024, where the future of all business sectors is being written today.
75 days since the last day of last season. We are ready to do it all again.
Phil Foden is having the season of his life. Brilliant! Just brilliant! That is quite something!
Upgrade to Compact for $29 per month to get all the Premier League football action.
Welcome back. State-owned Kuvimba Mining House is in talks with strategic investors to raise over 150 million United States dollars for the development of a new gold project.
After acquiring 3 gold mines a few years ago through injecting fresh capital to revive operations, the entity has reviewed plans for a new project for the yellow metal in Shamva. When fully operational, the new gold project is expected to produce over 200 kilograms of gold per month. The Diversified Mining Group Acting Chief Executive Officer Mr. Trevor Bernard confirmed that talks with potential investors over the project are underway.
This project is situated at our Shamba mine and it's called Shamba Hill. The plan is to introduce a new mine there with a capacity to treat around 200,000 tons of ore in a month. And from that, the projection is that we'll be able to be producing around 200 kilograms of gold in addition per month based on that project. The total required capital investment is in the region of 150 million, and that includes all of the infrastructure.
The resuscitation of gold mines by the state-owned utility since 2021 has also created opportunities for overall mining sector growth.
Currently, if you look at our gold mines, we've got 3 operating gold mines that are running. Frida Rebecca mine, we've got Shamba mine, and also we've got Jenna mine. These 3 mines together produce around 300 kilograms of gold a month, and we are the largest gold producer in Zimbabwe.
The group, whose majority shares are owned by the upgraded Sovereign Wealth Fund, the Mutapa Investment Fund, has also set sights on diversifying its portfolio of operations in the capital-intensive but viable resource extracting industry. Stanley James, ZBC News, Harare.
On that note, we take a break, but when we come back, we'll be giving you the sports news. Stay tuned.
In today's fast-paced world, paying in ZIG is not just about exchanging physical cash. It's about tapping into the electronic payment space, where convenience meets technology. On Zimbabwe's stable, safe, sound, and efficient national payment system, experience seamless transactions at your fingertips, anytime, anywhere. Join the future of payments today with ZIG. Secure, reliable, effortless. Pay the smart way. Pay with ZIG.
Enjoy winter warmers with the TM Pick and Pay midweek winners. These real value savings will warm your pantry and fill it up with more for less. TM Pick and Pay. Real value always.
Quality alcohol-free red common bricks for sale at affordable prices. Visit you Dow Bricks at Chikurubi Prison Farm, Harare. We are also recruiting salespeople.
75 days since the last day of last season. We are ready to do it all again.
Phil Foden is having the season of his life. Brilliant! Just brilliant! That is quite something!
Get all your football needs with DSTV for Business. Visit dstv.com/business and find the package that suits your business. They'll love it here.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. We now give you the sports news, starting off with tennis. Zimbabwe's quest for promotion in the Davis Cup is back on track after walloping Cote d'Ivoire 3-0 in an Africa Zone Group 3 tie played in Nigeria this Wednesday.
Zimbabwe's Davis Cup campaign is back on track after walloping Cote d'Ivoire 3-0 at the Abuja Tennis Center. The tournament's top-ranked nation, Zimbabwe, had a poor start after losing 2-1 to host Nigeria on Tuesday. With pressure on their side, Zimbabwe showed their class with a comprehensive win against the West Africans. Courtney Locke was first onto the court and he beat Frankie Marshall 6-4, 7-5 before his older brother Benjamin made light work of Ioannis Amiyeko 6-1 6 love. The brothers are then combined for the doubles match and once again assured their class to secure 3 new win and Zimbabwe is first at the tournament. The top 3 nations from the 6-team group will be promoted to the Euro Africa Zone Group 2, while the bottom 3 will remain in the Africa Zone Group 3. Lawrence Trusida, ZBC News, Harare.
And now to football matters, where Zimbabwe's representatives in the Confederation of African Football Women's Champions League, Herentals Queens, are ready to compete with the best on the continent. The Women's Champions League gets underway with regional qualifiers next month.
Reigning Women Premier Soccer League champions, Herentals Queens have started preparing for the CAF Women's Champions League, with the regional qualifiers set for Malawi next month. The students are not leaving anything to chance, having lined up competitive matches before the tournament. They kicked off their preparations this Wednesday with a match against a strong Harare Select side made up of Zimbabwe national women's football team, Mighty Warriors players. Head coach Simbarasha Dedza believes his team's performance in the 1-0 draw with Harare Select has given him the assurance of what the Queens are made of.
It was a good training game, and we played a Zimbabwean Select, which was very strong, and it gives us a lot of intensity and good football.
Harare Select coach Alec Muderera echoed Dedza's sentiments, giving credit to Herentals for their determination.
I was very impressed by Herentals on his preparation for the CAF. I think both the whole team seems to be a bit comfortable with the ball. If I'm judging it with the select squad that I have, I picked from the top clubs in Harare, but from Herentals, they were very, very comfortable.
Zimbabwean teams are back in Continental after the FIFA ban was lifted amid commitment from the World Football Governing Body and CAF to promote women's football. Anna Shemurombedzi, ZBC News, Harare.
Still in sport, particularly football, wounded Dynamos have no time to lick their wounds as they make the long trip to the colliery for a date against Hwange this Sunday.
The Glamour Boys are smarting from a 2-0 defeat at the hands of bitter rivals Highlanders. Dimbara in terrible form ahead of the trip to Hwange, having won just once in their last 5 matches, while their opponents are starting to show signs of life. Since the appointment of Radio Lakama, Chipangano have picked up 5 points in 4 matches. Dynamos are in 6th position, 14 points behind log leaders FC Platinum, with their biggest challenge being their poor conversion rate. Head coach Genesis Mangombe is looking to address that problem during the current transfer window.
If you train, then it's coming up. Then on a match day, it failed to come. But creating this same way as the chances you'll be doing a training. So at times, I think it's now in the player, the composure and whatever. Because if you see some of the goals we failed to score are as easy as one may think of, because you just need to use the right execution. Then you score.
Dimbare are set to register midfielder Nicolas Guyo, who has been training with the club since returning from Spain. Their opponents Hwange have already boosted their squad, bringing back experienced heads in midfielder Winston Mango and goalkeeper Takapa Mawaya, together with striker Dominic Chungwa, who was in Botswana. Lawrence Trusida, ZBC News, Harare.
And that's a wrap of sport. We now take a look at the weather.
Thank you for joining us. It is time for your evening weather report in Focus. My name is Benjamin Kwaramba. Well, very cold conditions in the early hours with moderate to severe ground frost reported at Nyanga. Weather had slight ground frost. Well, to the southern parts of the country, we had some brief partly clouded periods, but by end of day, the cloud had dissipated as shown in the satellite images received this afternoon. Now, tomorrow, again, we expect clear skies in most parts of the country. Very cold in the morning, becoming mild to warm later. Expect some slight ground frost, particularly over Nyanga, Marondera, and Wedza. Now, for the temperatures in detail, the capital city, Harare, expect a minimum of 9 and a maximum of 28 degrees Celsius. 11 and 30 is expected at Bulawayo. Gweru 7 and 28, Mutare 9 and 29 degrees Celsius. Kwekwe 6 and 29. Kadoma 8 and 30. Masvingo minimum 6, 29, maximum 7 and 30 is expected at Chinhoyi. Lupane 3 and 30. Very cold conditions at Lupane. In fact, expect some moderate ground frost over Lupane. Bindura 7 and 29, 2 and 26 at Marondera. Slight moderate ground frost expected at Marondera. Gwanda 5 and 31. Victoria Falls 7 in the morning, 30 maximum, 12 and 31 is expected at Kariba. Great Zimbabwe, the ancient city, 6 and 29, 2 and 25 at Nyanga. Very cold conditions there. Expect some moderate to severe ground frost over Nyanga. Matopos 3 and 25. Day after tomorrow, again brief partly cloudy periods expected over Masvingo area there. While the remainder of the country should be under clear skies. Very cold at first, becoming mild to warm later. Well, that does it in tonight's edition of the Weather Report and Forecast. Let's make a date again tomorrow at the same time. Good evening, Zimbabwe.
And that brings us to the end of tonight's news bulletin. From all of us at Montrose Studios and Pocket Hill, have a good night.
Good night.
Village emaguswini